What's up, my G's, and welcome to my Dragon Quest journey, a series where I explore the world and stories of the Dragon Quest franchise. Last time, we went over the first volume of the Dragon Quest The Adventures of Dai Manga that covered the first 9 chapters. In the last video, we did 9 chapters in about 20 minutes, and I feel like at that pace, it'll take way too long just to get through the first 50 chapters. Keeping that in mind, for the next videos, I won't be going into as much detail, unless that's what you guys want, so leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Last time, we left off with the introduction of the Demon King HADLAR, but it also brought some questions, like how did he get resurrected, and why did he come to the island? In the next couple chapters, you'll get answers to those questions and more. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit the like button down below, and don't forget to drop a comment. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I drop one of my videos. And with all that said and done, let's jump right in. Chapter 10. HADLAR'S Identity. The Demon King HADLAR steps into the cave and everyone is shocked. Brass mentions that he looks younger than before. His life force is strong and youthful. HADLAR stares down AVAN, calling him AVAN the hero, which surprises everyone. AVAN was the hero who defeated the Demon King long ago. HADLAR and AVAN exchange some words and AVAN tells everyone to leave the cave. HADLAR and AVAN face off, and HADLAR attacks first with a boom spell, which is an explosion attack, and AVAN with his hand out absorbs it. AVAN retaliates with the sizzle spell, which is a fire attack that hits HADLAR and does nothing but burn up his cloak. HADLAR laughs and tells AVAN that fire and explosion spells are his strong point and flexes with the sizzle spell of his own. AVAN uses a wave slash and cuts the attack in half, but falls to his knees. He comments that HADLAR has become even more powerful since the last time they fought. HADLAR reveals that he was resurrected and gained a stronger body by someone even more powerful than him, the Demon Lord Vern. After HADLAR was killed, he roamed the world of the dead where the god of the demon world brought him back to life. HADLAR pledged his loyalty to Lord Vern, and HADLAR was made the commander-in-chief for the whole demon army. Chapter 11. Battle. HADLAR vs. AVAN. HADLAR starts this chapter off boasting that his troops are stronger beyond comparison than the former army of the Demon King. He offers AVAN the same deal that he offered him during their battle long ago. HADLAR offers AVAN half of the world if he becomes his follower. AVAN refuses and says that he doubts the Demon Lord's puppet would even have the authority to give away half the world, and HADLAR is furious. HADLAR's hands start to glow, and he prepares a kaboom spell, the stronger form of the boom spell that he used last chapter. AVAN readies his stance for an AVAN strash. HADLAR fires his spell and AVAN uses his special attack, causing a huge explosion. When everything clears, HADLAR has a diagonal cut on his chest with a waterfall of blood dropping to the floor. HADLAR flexes his muscles, which makes the cut on his chest start to close and leaves a scar. AVAN is suddenly enveloped in a fiery explosion of sorts and falls to the floor, hurt on his knees, with smoke coming from his body. AVAN is hurt. Dai mentions that AVAN's magic power is nearly gone because he used the spell to become a dragon while training Dai earlier. HADLAR steps to AVAN, who is still on his knees, and goes to deliver a strong punch, but Dai intervenes and tries to cut HADLAR, who stops his attack with one finger. He grabs Dai in midair by the wrist and slams him around like the Hulk did to Loki in the first Avengers movie and tosses him aside like trash. HADLAR tells Pop and Dai to leave now if they want to live, but notices that his finger had actually been cut by Dai. HADLAR changes his mind and decides that he can't let any of AVAN's students remain alive. AVAN yells that he won't allow it, and HADLAR shoots a blast towards Pop and Dai, and the explosion hits, and we get a nice panel with AVAN's glasses hitting the floor. Chapter 12. AVAN's Mark. The explosion clears and standing in front of Pop and Dai is AVAN with a huge burn spot that covers his back. AVAN makes sure that Pop and Dai are okay, and HADLAR is surprised that AVAN is still standing. AVAN states that at their current level they can't win, and tells Pop and Dai that he alone will defeat HADLAR. He goes on to tell Pop and Dai that one day they will be the ones to defeat the Demon Lord Vern. AVAN and HADLAR face off again, but Dai insists that he'd fight as well. AVAN uses the Clang spell on Pop, Dai, and Brass that turns their bodies to steel and makes them invincible. AVAN hands Pop and Dai 2 necklaces as proof of the graduation, and goes to fight HADLAR, stating that he must risk his life to defeat him. AVAN launches his attack towards HADLAR, and swings his sword, and HADLAR jumps and dodges it and hammers AVAN's back with both his hands, and AVAN falls to the floor. HADLAR begins to punch AVAN over and over, and deals a strong punch to the gut of AVAN. Suddenly AVAN turns his hands into some sort of claws and shoves his fingers into the temples of HADLAR, catching him by surprise. HADLAR is shocked, and AVAN states that he's about to use a spell that requires almost no magic power. Instead, he uses life energy and turns it into explosive power, and Hadlar is scared and helpless. AVAN uses the spell Kamikaze, and there is a huge explosion. Chapter 13. Dai's Rage. AVAN sacrificed his life to destroy the Demon King. The cave is destroyed, and there is a crater in the ground, and stabbed in the ground is AVAN's sword like a symbol of his sacrifice. Suddenly, Hadlar bursts from the ground, with blood leaking from the holes in the side of his head. He starts laughing at how weak AVAN was, and also mentions that he's taken a fair amount of damage, and needs to return to Keegan Castle to heal his wounds. First, he has to get rid of Pop and Dai. He walks towards them and prepares a frizz spell with one finger, which is a fire attack. Dai starts to think of AVAN's sacrifice and how he couldn't let it go to waste, and starts to rage out again. The steel around his body starts to crack, and lights start to emanate from the cracks. Hadlar, surprised that Dai is breaking the Clang spell himself, shoots a Kafrizzle spell, which is the strongest form of Frizz, instead of his initial Frizz spell at Dai. Dai finally breaks out of the Clang spell, sort of blacked out like Goku using Ultra Instinct Omen, and uses a Crack spell, which is the strongest form of the ice attack that Pop used while training in Chapter 7. The two spells clash, and Hadlar is shocked, and launches a strong punch towards Dai. Dai replies with a strong punch himself to the gut of Hadlar, knocking the wind out of him, and then an uppercut straight up to the chin of Hadlar, who falls back bleeding from his mouth in shock of Dai's power. He wonders why Dai is so strong, and looks at Dai and sees a shiny crest on his forehead. Impossible. A Dragon Knight? Chapter 14. Explosion / This chapter starts off with the Demon King Hadlar surprised and shocked at the crest on Dai's forehead, and refers to him as a Dragon Knight. They are both staring each other down and rush towards each other, and Dai lands another strong punch to the gut of Hadlar, and Hadlar cannot believe it. Hadlar refuses to let Dai push him around and releases 4 claws from his fist like Wolverine. He rushes Dai with a flurry of attacks, but Dai dodges all of them except for one. Dai gets cut on his chest, and Hadlar shoots a boom spell towards Dai, and Dai is caught off guard and is hit with the explosion spell. Hadlar starts laughing, and Brass and Pop are scared for Dai. The smoke clears, and standing there is Dai with a mark on his head again. Hadlar jumps into the sky and drops down towards Dai, and Dai grabs AVAN's sword and readies his stance like AVAN and does the AVAN slash, cutting both of Hadlar's hands off and cutting his chest like AVAN did, but in the opposite direction, creating an X on Hadlar's chest, sending the Demon King flying. While in the air, Hadlar promises to come back and kill Dai, and uses a Chimera's ring to teleport away. Chapter 15. The Journey to Epic Adventure. We start off in the stronghold of the Demon King, Castle Keegan, where Hadlar is sitting on his throne healing up his wounds, using his magic power to regrow his hands. He's talking to the Demon Lord Vern, and Vern is pleased that AVAN has been killed, but Hadlar is worried that Dai might grow to be even more powerful than AVAN was. If that is the case, he could become a more fearful opponent. He thinks to himself that he has evidence of Dai being stronger on his chest, and we get a close-up to the X cut into his chest. The cut given to him by AVAN is already closing, but the cut given to him by Dai is healing slower than AVAN's. Hadlar stands up, and still thinking to himself says that he must attack and crush him while he's still a child, along with his elite demon army. We get an explanation of the demon army, and how it's divided into 6 regiments. The Undead Knights Regiment, a legion of undead soldiers. The Fire and Ice Demon Regiment, destroyers who burn everything and freeze the soul. The Sorcerer Regiment, mages with immense magic power. The 100 Beast Regiment, a tribe of complete abominations. The Shadow Regiment, shadow hunters who attack enemies without revealing their form. And the Super Dragon Regiment, a regiment of dragons whose battle powers is strongest of all regiments. With every regiment comes a captain of that regiment, who all fall under Hadlar's command. Back on Durmlin Island, Dai and Pop are setting off on a journey to save Princess Leona and Papunica. But first they are heading to the Kingdom of Romos to meet with the king. Chapter 16. MARM of the Magic Forest. Not too much happens in this chapter. Dai and Pop find themselves lost in the magic forest where they save a little girl, and are saved by an older girl named MARM. Pop accidentally touches her boob and gets smacked and called a pervert. MARM explains that the forest is like a maze and it's called the Magic Forest, and since the Demon King has been revived, the Magic Forest has been a settling ground for monsters. She offers to help Pop and Dai escape from the forest and stay at her village for the night, but Pop has his mind on sleeping in the palace tonight and not a rundown village. Pop declines her offer, and him and Dai continue in the forest, leaving behind a bag that MARM picks up. The last page switches over to HADLAR'S speaking to a monster eye that seems to be watching Pop and Dai in the magic forest. We can see a copy of the eye in the forest with Pop and Dai hanging in a tree watching them, acting as security cameras. HADLAR figures that they must be heading to Romos, which falls in the territory of the 100 Beast Regiment. HADLAR orders the eye to call the captain of the regiment, the Beast King Crocodile. Chapter 17. The Beast King Crocodile. We begin this chapter in MARM's village. MARM returns to the village with the little girl who runs into the arms of her father. The little girl's parents thank MARM for saving her, and everyone in the village is happy. MARM seems to be the hero of this village, always helping everyone. MARM leaves the bag she found on the floor from Pop and Dai last chapter, and one of the village boys opens it up, and out comes Gome. We switch over to the Beast King Crocodile sitting in his cave receiving a call from HADLAR through the monster eye. HADLAR says that he ordered Crocodile to attack the kingdom of Romos, and Crocodile says that the country is full of weaklings and he left his troops to do the work for him. HADLAR informs Crocodile of Dai and wants him to personally take care of him. Crocodile is surprised because Dai was able to injure HADLAR and is excited to kill Dai. Back in the forest, Dai and Pop are arguing because they are lost again. They run into a lion monster that has wings. The monster is sleeping, but Pop accidentally wakes it up and it starts to charge a sizzle spell with its mouth. We switch over to MARM in her village, who feels the shake of the blast and runs outside to see the forest on fire. We switch back to Pop and Dai about to be attacked by the lion monster. Chapter 18. The Beast King's War Cry. In the magic forest, Pop and Dai barely dodge the lion monster's attack. The lion monster is fast and strong, and eventually Pop and Dai are cornered against a huge rock wall. A loud scream comes from the forest and stops the monster in its tracks. It's scared as hell. Dai can feel something approaching. MARM is on her way there, and she stops at the sound of the scream as well. She thinks to herself that it sounds like the war cry she hears when the monsters are attacking the castle. Pop and Dai are waiting for whatever made the noise to show up, and the monster lion is still frozen in fear. Suddenly, a tree is cut in half, and out pops Crocodile, the Beast King. They exchange some words, and Pop uses a frizz spell on Crocodile, and Crocodile eats it like Natsu from Fairy Tail and spits it right back out. It blows a hole in the cliffside behind them. Dai comments that in terms of pure power, he's stronger than HADLAR, and Crocodile says not to look down on the captains of the 6th Regiment. Their special abilities are stronger than HADLAR'S. Pop runs away and gets chased by the lion monster, and Crocodile attacks Dai while telling him that he was ordered to kill him. He swings his axe over and over, and Dai manages to dodge it, and Dai readies his stance. AVAN sword style killing technique! And that's it for Volume 2. The battle with HADLAR was intense, and now we are up against the captain of the 100 Beast Regiment, Crocodile. This chapter was full of action, and we learned a lot about the Demon King HADLAR and his demon army. We still have questions about the Demon Lord though, like how strong is he, and what exactly are his plans. I'm excited to keep reading and find out what happens to our heroes. I hope you will continue to join me on my journey into the worlds and stories of the Dragon Quest franchise, and I'll see you next time with the next Dragon Quest video. Peace out, my G's.